How's it going, everybody? This is Novakast back with another review for you guys, or another video, but we are doing a review. And with this one, I'm kind of continuing my whole list of Alien franchise movies. And since we're kind of going, slowly, or have been slowly going through the list, we have, I believe, as far as I know, especially when it comes to the Alien franchise, 2 more films. And with this particular video, we'll be talking about Prometheus, which was released in 2012 and directed by Ridley Scott, written by John Sifite, Damon Lindelof, and Dan O'Brien, or Bannon. And if I fuck up those names, I do apologize. But I guess to quickly discuss what is, or at least with this particular film, I need to make one clarification, and I think I made this clear with the Alien vs. Predator franchise, or those films, is that I'm going to be treating this as its own storyline, or if anything, its own universe, for that matter, like I did with Alien vs. Predator, because there are certain details that are mentioned in the original film that state that, you know, interactions with the alien in earlier years is impossible. And in this situation, I'm just classifying as its own because of certain details that are kind of brought up in this particular film that unfortunately do not add up with what we've seen with Alien vs. Predator, or if anything, Alien. And on top of that, there are certain things that lessen the mysterious nature of the xenomorph. So, to a degree, this is going to be its own universe, so I will be trying to treat it as such, as much as possible. So, with that being said, let's go ahead and get right into this. So, for story, I think I'm going to get the one thing out of the way, and that is that this movie was set up to be a prequel to the Alien franchise. Though, to an extent, and you can call me biased or whatnot, but I kind of felt like it was poorly set up, especially when you look at the technology present for this film and look at the previous Alien films, and to an extent, it doesn't match up. A lot of the stuff we see in the Prometheus is a lot more high-tech and more imaginative than what we saw for the original Aliens, or Alien. But anyways, just quick gripe, that's it. Now, to go on to the story, yes, this is a prequel, or it was set up to be a prequel of the Alien movies. The way it's set up is we have a group of explorers employed by Weyland, and they are tasked to look for a possible, answer to who created us. With the help of several scientists, they go there, they find the planet, they find a facility that was made by somebody. Who, what was their purpose, we don't know, but a lot of those questions are never answered because things start to happen. Certain technologies start to wake up. People are dying left and right. And to an extent, something that is biological in nature proceeds to start killing the crew. Now I say that, and I'm trying to be very vague, because to an extent, that is technically what happens. Again, for those who have not seen the movie, I would recommend you guys check it out for yourselves too, so you guys can have an understanding. To an extent, yes, it's not an alien. It's not an alien per se. There is a situation that involves a contagion, yes. And to an extent, the way it's presented, or if anything, the way that is, unfortunately, all this stuff is happening. Unfortunately, it's a lot of the shit that goes down is basically because of human stupidity, I should say. More so to the fact that, especially when you have characters that are kind of inept to a degree, and instead of following simple guidelines to, how to deal with certain issues, especially with, technology and so on, they don't do that and act completely stupid, and to an extent get killed off left and right. And by the end of it, I was somewhat curious as to why one particular character wanted to continue on after, everything that happens. Or at least go on this war path. Because they do find the answers. But, however, the answers don't want to give them any answers. Because they do end up finding what they call the engineers. And to an extent, it's kind of made clear that the engineers, or these particular engineers, are not happy with humans and are trying to go to Earth to eliminate all life. Now, to an extent, it's a really weird story, and a lot of the stuff that happens quite literally could have been prevented. I just felt like it was forced with a lot of it. Because, again, a lot of these characters are just really, really stupid. But, all in all, and to top it off, we have a character who is set up in this film that shows up in the prequel. I don't want to spoil too much. That is implied to create or help create the xenomorph. Now, me personally, this is just hear me out with this. When it comes down to it, especially what was great about the xenomorph myth, or the xenomorph just creature, was the fact that it had no origin. There was a system of mystery around it. It's unknown, has no origin, no known planet that it comes from, unless some of the extended content. But regardless, for the films, this creature is unknown. It is built in a way that is supposed to be mysterious, deadly, and to an extent has no morals or emotions, and its only notion was to kill. That was the basic thing about the alien. And honestly, that's what made it scarier, was the fact that you had no actual knowledge of how, you do know how to deal with it, but you don't know where it comes from or how to prevent any further outbreaks of this. So, I'm not gonna lie, for characters, strangely enough, the one character that I actually liked, sadly, was Janek, who played by Idris Elba. A lot of the other characters were just meh to me, besides David, but to an extent, what they do with him I'm not particularly happy with. I guess to explain, actually going through the characters, you have Elizabeth Shaw, scientist, goes on this whole expedition to hunt down these engineers only by belief. Besides the cave drawings they find of the quote-unquote star map, she is only there because of her belief. Which, there's nothing wrong with having a belief, or having to believe in something, but to an extent, funding would be probably millions is kind of stupid. Charles Holloway, played by Logan Marshall Green, is a stupid fucking character. Really fucking stupid. And I did not care that he gets axed off. Michael Fassbender playing, again, David. Interesting, he plays an android who is honestly really interesting, especially with him trying to imitate, I think if anything, imitates, certain, I guess, source of media, or if anything, I guess to describe him, the first thing we see of this character David. He is learning old languages or ancient languages, as well as watching movies like Lawrence in Arabia, which is a classic, and kind of modeling himself after Lawrence, like redoing his hair and stuff like that. Honestly, that was interesting to see him. Though there is a creepy moment where he is watching somebody's dream, which again is kind of creepy, but I think that kind of adds to what he does later in the movie. But anyways, going further, Charlize Theron playing Meredith Vickers. I could care less for this character. Idris Elba playing as the captain of the Prometheus. Honestly, pretty cool. A little bit I think if anything, again, he's a minor character, but for some reason I like him. It could be because his fascination with music. To an extent, he's tries to give Vickers shit a couple of times, which I thought was hilarious. All in all, Idris Elba, though, again, Idris Elba may possibly be one of the most entertaining actors in a lot of the stuff that he's in, even in movies like Ghost Rider. But going further, Guy Pearce playing Peter Whalen. We only saw him a little bit. They used old man makeup for him, and it looks weird. Sean Harris playing Fifield, dead. Raph Spall playing Milburn, dead. Eamon Elliott playing Chance, dead. Benedict Wong playing Revel, dead. Kate Dickey pretty much gets killed. Pretty much everybody else that I would probably name is killed off by the the quote-unquote engineers, or the life that is created by the bioagent that is brought up in this film. So, to an extent, it's not a pretty sight for a lot of these characters, unfortunately. So this time around, especially for effects, CGI is a little bit more prominent than it was with some of the earlier films. Though, to an extent, I will admit, some of the shots given to us, or at least some of the moments that are in CG, are alright. Like the moments with the spacecraft, I honestly didn't care about that much. Or at least I didn't feel any need to nitpick or focus on it too much. Because, to an extent, the moments where you see the ship coming in or on the planet looks alright, honestly. And honestly, to an extent, I don't think we would have gotten, like, I guess if anything, the production value that we would have gotten if it was just props, or if anything, practical effect. So to a degree, it looks alright. It really does. It looks, with the movement of the ship, everything, it looked, I think, if anything, smooth. But going further, we do get introduced to several aliens, or if anything, precursors, I should say. We have this Viper Cobra Xeno thing that looks pretty cool to an extent. We also have a melted Fifield, which I don't want to explain what happens to him. It's interesting, but again, I don't want to spoil too much. We also get introduced to the engineers, which are humanoid in nature, but have like really pale skin. And we get introduced to, I guess, if anything, two versions. One near the beginning, and another where it looks like he has a suit that's infused or fused into his body to a degree. Now, another creature that we get introduced to is this octopus-like facehugger creature that is huge after it grows. So to an extent, it does add to the tension, especially towards the end. And last minute, we also get introduced to another precursor of the Xeno. Again, I don't want to spoil too much. But all in all, effects look alright. Though it is, again, mostly CG. So, when it comes down to score, or the music for Prometheus, it was done by Mark Streitenfeld. And the score for this particular film is actually really interesting. And I say that because where it comes down to it, at least for a lot of the other scores, they're very serious to an extent. And to a degree, it's always, how should I put this? There's always this cautious tone to how the score is presented, especially in a lot of the parts of the movie when it comes or involving the alien or the ship that they're on or the location, etc. This time around, especially since this is involved with Alien, there are moments where the score seems, I want to say, whimsical. Like it kind of puts you in a false sense of security to a degree. But there are moments, again, where it does get serious, and the type of scores that we are that kind of, if anything, familiar with, or the type of feeling that we get from the score is presented in, again, the moments where things actually start to happen. But in some of the score, it is weird and uncomfortable to an extent when you have this score where, again, just for some reason it seems whimsical or just endearing to a degree. Okay, so final thoughts for Prometheus. And let me tell you, I am doing my best to not be as nitpicky, but to an extent, there's a few issues. So, story, I did like the aspect of it to an extent, like them trying to make it into a prequel. I like the idea with the engineers. I at least like that. However, a lot of the situations that could have been prevented for Prometheus could have been prevented if some of the characters weren't stupid. Speaking of that, characters, only 2 of them I actually kind of liked. The rest of them were basically fuel for the fire. Effects, alright. Especially with, CG and what little practical effects we got. As well as going through music, it's interesting and it's different comparably to what we've seen with previous Alien films. So, with that being said, unfortunately, I gotta take it to a low level. This, unfortunately, was not my taste in movie. And honestly, if I give my own personal opinion, and I know that I'm not a film director or writer or so on, but to an extent, it would have been nice to maybe see this in the future, like way in the future. And I say this because, to an extent, it makes no sense, especially with technology presented, it makes no sense. I guess, if anything, atmosphere-wise or technology-wise, that this would be a prequel. To an extent, it would have been better if this was set in the future, as well as keeping the origins of the xenomorph to some extent secret. And hence, that's why I'm, treating this as its own thing. It would be nice if the characters were actually stupid, but, with most of them, that's what we got. And a lot of the tension just seemed forced due to, again, people's actions. So, with that being said, Prometheus, unfortunately, my personal rating gets a 3 out of 5, or 3 out of 10. It's interesting what they try to do, but I have to dock quite a few points due to a lot of the stupidity that is presented. So, once again, my own personal rating, my own personal opinion, Prometheus from 2012 receives 3 out of 10. And with that, that was my review of Prometheus. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. If you guys can, please leave a like, comment, share, subscribe, all the good stuff. If you guys want to follow us on social media, links are in the description down below, as well as check out our daily content and the weekly podcast. With that being said, this is Rob Novakast signing off. Have a good one. Take care, and I'll see you guys in the next video.